Pokémon is one of the most popular game franchises ever, becoming a staple of popular culture over its long lifetime. This year Pokémon is celebrating its 25th anniversary. 25 years of games, cards, toys and more to keep up the Pokémon craze. From playing the game on a competitive level to collecting Pokémon cards, it's safe to say that Pokémon was a large part of my childhood and teens. But after 25 years of just accepting the Pokémon system of levels and base stats, I say no more. Today, we will define what base stats really mean. Base stats are an excellent way of comparing two or more different Pokémon, being a consistent method to measure a Pokémon's overall battle prowess, as a Pokémon generally has the same base stats over multiple generations, with the exclusion of Generation 1, where special defense stats were the same as special attack stats, but that was fixed in Generation 2. As we can see, Bulbasaur's base stats in Generation 1 and Generation 8 are the same. This makes comparison between Pokémon in different generations easy. However, these numbers are arbitrary. We know from basic maths that 49 is greater than 45, but what does an attack stat of 45 even mean? Well, I'm going to try and calculate and define what these stats mean using canonical information from the games, Pokédex descriptions, and other in-game events that show Pokémon's feats. There are 6 different base stat categories. Those categories are HP or hit point, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. So let's get our math caps on and begin calculating. Starting with the first subcategory of base stats, hit points. Now this particular subcategory is a bit weird. What do hit points refer to? Without getting too much into damage calculations, in the game when a Pokémon is told to attack, a bunch of numbers are put through this equation to get the final amount of damage that move will do. Take that away from the number of available hit points the opposing Pokémon has and bada bing bada boom, you get damage dealt. But that convoluted calculation still hasn't answered the question. What are hit points? I like to think of hit points as a Pokémon's battle stamina. How much damage a Pokémon can take, how long it will survive in harsh weather conditions, or how long it can survive a particular status effect. When a Pokémon runs out of hit points, you get this message. Now this isn't confirmed, but most likely your Pokémon fainted due to a loss of blood from battle, or your Pokémon's body temperature rises or falls too much, or so on and so forth. Training and leveling up your Pokémon can increase its battle stamina, so can breeding better Pokémon, and let's not forget the most effective method, performance enhancing drugs. Stamina is quite hard to measure numerically. A few tests can be done to try and gauge stamina, such as timing how long it takes for your heart rate to return to resting after strenuous exercise. However, while I have befriended countless Pokémon professors over the years, I am not privy to such information, so we're going to have to use another method. Mudsdale can traverse mountains for 3 days and 3 nights while dragging a 10-ton load. Compare that with Megaskizor, a Pokémon that has so much energy that it starts to melt its own body and can't sustain long battles. Besides Arcanine being able to run 6,200 miles in a day and night, there aren't many other feats which could give us a better indication of Pokémon's stamina. But we can conclude that Pokémon with a base HP stat of 100 and above are able to carry out strenuous exercise over multiple days. Pokémon with a base HP of 90 can do it over 1 day, and below that Pokémon stamina levels drop. Around the 70 and below mark, Pokémon can't maintain battles for long periods of time for whatever reason. But is physical endurance all that contributes to being able to battle for longer? Stamina also refers to the mental aspect of physical exertion. Bonds between Pokémon and trainer have been a constant in the Pokémon universe and get referenced countless times throughout the games. In Generation 6, a new stat was introduced alongside friendship called Affection. Level 3 Affection gave a Pokémon a 10% chance of enduring a hit that would cause it to faint, leaving it with 1 HP. A combination of Pokémon's stamina and trainer affection play a role in determining what a Pokémon's HP is. Next we have the attack stat, a stat related to physical attacks, those which require the contact of a Pokémon's body with another's, except for moves such as Earthquake, which is a physical attack that doesn't require physical contact. We need a place to start, and I remember one Pokédex entry from Pokemon Yellow describing Machamp. One arm alone can move mountains. If we equate physical strength with attacking power, we can try to work out what attack stats mean. We know that Machamp can move a mountain with one arm, but it has 4 of equal strength. It is safe to assume that if Machamp were to punch with all of its arms, it could fragment a mountain, especially if it's throwing 1000 punches in 2 seconds. This would take around 3.345 times 10 to the 18 joules of energy, or 800 megatons of TNT. If we look at Pokemon Sun's entry, we see that Machamp can unleash megaton level punches. So Machamp's attack stat of 130 relates to being able to produce 3.345 times 10 to the 18 joules of energy, or thereabouts. This seems consistent when we check the Pokédex entry for Tyranitar. In Ruby and Sapphire, Tyranitar is said to be able to bring down a whole mountain to make its nest. If it rampages, it knocks down mountains and buries rivers. Tyranitar boasts an attack stat of 134, which is very close to Machamp's 130. Gyarados, Pokemon with an attack stat of 125, is said to be able to destroy entire cities. As cities are smaller than mountains, we can make some sort of cutoff. Looking at the other Pokemons with attack stats from 125 to 129, there was no indication that any of them can destroy a mountain. We can say that Pokemon that have attack stats of 130 and above are confirmed mountain destroying level. Defense can be a tricky stat to deal with. Defense refers to being able to withstand attacks that require physical contact. To withstand devastating attacks, a Pokemon's hide, exoskeleton, or carapace needs to be very strong. However, measuring the strength of materials isn't straightforward. Tensile strength, compressive strength, yield strength, and impact strength are all measures of a material's strength. Some materials might have high tensile strength but low compressive strength. Remember when I said defense is going to be a bit tricky? Yeah. Impact strength, a measure of how much energy a material can absorb before shattering, seems to be like the most important when discussing how much damage a Pokemon can withstand, so for the purposes of this topic we'll focus on impact strength. It seems a very consistent feature of Pokemon with defense stats higher than 140 to have their hide, exoskeleton, or shell be compared to Diamond. But we run into somewhat of a problem. By definition, Diamond is not actually tough. Due to its carbon lattice structure, diamonds feature cleavage planes, weaknesses in the structure which make diamonds susceptible to fracturing, meaning you can fracture a diamond with a hammer. Hardness refers to a material's ability to keep its shape when another material or force acts on it. The Mohs scale of hardness is a simple way of measuring hardness. Can this material scratch another? So some Pokemon have hides as hard as diamond or harder than diamond, meaning they can't be scratched or indented by force. Registeel can make our lives easier. Its body is harder than any kind of metal in existence and cannot be scratched, meaning it scores an infinite on the Mohs scale. It's also able to stretch flexibly, meaning it has low tensile strength, which makes me think that it's some sort of extraterrestrial chromium alloy. And guess what? Stainless steel is a chromium alloy, and as the Pokemon is named after it, it makes sense that it can be some form of stronger steel. We can take the value from the Charpy impact test for stainless steel, multiply it by the estimated surface area of Registeel to get the amount of energy that Registeel should be able to absorb before shattering, which turns out to be 41,369,993 joules. So that is how much energy a Pokemon can take with a base stat of 150 before it gets damaged. Before Generation 4, whether a move was a physical move or a special move was determined by its type. This is no longer the case. Now each type has special moves, which makes defining these base stats very hard and time consuming. So for the purposes of keeping this video to an enjoyable length, I won't be going into special attack and special defense stats. But I do have some sort of idea on how I want to start defining them. So maybe I can do a video on that in the future, going into each type in more detail. Finally, the last stat, speed.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am.
A stat which is used to determine which Pokemon attacks first in a turn-based game. Now before we start, we need to realize that there are a few different types of speed, 5 to be exact. Attack, combat, reaction, travel, and flight speed. To give you an example of why this distinction is very important, in this scene, Mega Rayquaza is traveling at a speed of Mach 13,815, which is 13,815 times the speed of sound, which means Mega Rayquaza was traveling at 4,738,545 meters per second. Mega Rayquaza has a speed stat of 115. Talonflame, on the other hand, has a top speed of 310 miles per hour, which is 139 meters per second, but has a speed stat of 126, which is 11 points higher than Mega Rayquaza's. Both speeds here refer to a Pokemon's flight speed. So I had to find an entry which referred to a Pokemon's combat speed, the speed at which it fights at. I got very close with Beedrill, but the description didn't give anything that I could use to calculate the combat speed. It just said violent speeds. And then I found a Pokédex entry which gave me something to start with. Gallade can sense what its opponent is thinking and attacks first and fast. This is a direct reference to Gallade's combat speed. Now, I'm no master of Pokemon anatomy, but assuming that Pokemon have nerves sending signals to their muscles to perform actions, we can calculate the speed of an action taking place. Gallade senses when a Pokemon thinks and decides to move. Once a decision is made, a nerve impulse is sent to the muscles through motor neurons to initiate the action. The speed of conduction for alpha motor neurons is 120 meters per second. Gallade must move faster than 120 meters per second to attack the Pokemon before it can start its own attack. Gallade doesn't even have that high of a speed stat, of around 80. So we can say that a speed stat of 80 means that a Pokemon can attack faster than 120 meters per second. The world of Pokemon is ever expanding, with new Pokemon being introduced every generation with unique designs, abilities, and strengths. After 25 years of Pokemon games, we finally have some sort of idea of what base stats mean. In an ideal world, I would try to work out certain brackets of base stats and define exactly what Pokemon that fall into them are capable of, especially with special attack and special defense, just as there are so many types to work out. If I get the time in the future, I might do a more detailed breakdown, but for now, we get an idea of what Pokemon a certain base stats are able to do. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and as always, stay safe and remember to get good.